Howdy folks, I'm Giddy Garlic Mustard, gracefully greeting grumpy garden gnomes.
I'm Amber.
And here are more grumpy garden gnomes for us to greet. They're all grumpy all the time, and you would be too if you had to be planted in a garden and never move. So
That explains why they become homicidal in so many stories.
let's get started. All right, folks, and our first letter is titled, My husband admitted that he let me keep using a dangerous recalled present as a FU, and I can't seem to get past it. I'm a 33-year-old female, and I recently was gifted a back massager for Mother's Day by my 31-year-old male husband on behalf of our son. One for my office chair as I work from home, and I often get a bad back. This was the most thoughtful Mother's Day gift that I've received, as he usually doesn't put much effort in it or forgets. I recently discovered that the back massager was recalled and customs were rejecting them at the border. The reason is high severity electric shocks and potential for fire. My husband told me this after I mentioned that I had used it earlier and had helped my back pain. He then started laughing and saying that he was sorry he forgot and that he had received the recall email a month ago. When I asked him why, he didn't tell me straight away. He said that we were arguing at the time, and this was kind of an FU decision not to tell me. He then says that he forgot about it. It's not abnormal for me and my husband to argue and bicker. He admits that he can't even remember what the argument was about. Is it wrong that this really hurt me? Of all the times we've argued, I've never once thought about putting him at risk. If anything, this feels very callous. It's left me wondering if my husband secretly hates me. He laughed initially, but since I explained how it made me feel, he's been quite apologetic. It's making me question his reactions and behavior recently, as he is definitely less patient and snappy with me. I guess that I'm looking for advice on whether I'm overthinking this or whether being upset is justified. I would also like some advice on what to do about my husband. Would you talk to him? I just feel really confused by this, and it's not something that I could personally imagine doing to somebody that you love. Thank you in advance. All right, folks, what do you think?
You are definitely not overreacting, OP. This is deeply concerning behavior. He literally was willing to put your life at risk because you were arguing. I cannot imagine an argument where that would ever be acceptable. Even if you're mad at someone you love, you still shouldn't want them to die. And so I think you questioning, does he even love me? Does he secretly hate me? I think that's a valid question to ask, because who is like, well, this could kill my partner, but I'm mad at them, so I'm just going to let them keep using it as an FU.
Yeah, well, I mean, that, I think, right there says it all. Who would do this? I mean, certainly, I understand disliking somebody, but I wouldn't even want this for my enemy.
Well, exactly. I can't think of anyone in my life who I'd be like, yeah, I'm just going to let you keep using a product that could kill you. There are people I'm not hugely fond of, and I'd still be like, hey, that was been recalled. You shouldn't use it.
Yeah. I might actually feel a little better about saying that to somebody that I dislike, because then they would be not able to have their back massager and be like, by the way, that's been recalled. You probably should stop using it. You might get electrocuted or something like that. And then they'd be like, oh, no, not my favorite back massager. I'm like, well, you can use it if you want, but you've been warned that it probably will zap you to death. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't actually dislike anyone really that much. I mean, there are a few people that I dislike in this world, but they are removed from me enough that and I still would probably not go out of my way to make sure they use something that was dangerous. As much as I dislike certain people, I don't know that I would have that in me to because I kind of view it as manslaughter in some respect, right? So you would have a part in that. But yeah, I don't know. I think that OP really should question his relationship, because he doesn't seem like a very good man.
No.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for sending my neighbors a video after they accused me of ruining their open house? I live in a pretty quiet neighborhood. Recently, the house next door has been put on sale, and the owner held an open house last Saturday. We aren't friends, more like we just say hello over the fence. Well, the day before it, she asked me not to park in the curb in front of her house so that potential buyers could get a good view of the facade. It's a public space, but I said, okay, no problem. Well, it rained Sunday morning, and I went to my sister's house for most of the day. When I got back in the evening, I found a note from her on my porch. It said that I had to pay for the carpet cleaning because my guest had walked into the house with dirty shoes and left marks on the living room. The problem is that my neighbor had already posted in there that it makes her sad when neighbors don't respect someone else's day, and some people send guests to ruin open houses. She didn't mention any names, but she added that it's especially upsetting when you ask your neighbors in advance to help with a showing. She was clearly referring to me because the day before she had asked me not to park in front of her house. I messaged her privately and asked why she decided it had to do anything with me. She replied that a realtor had seen a man who came from the direction of my house. I have a doorbell camera, so I decided to check it. The video showed her son arriving in the rain, parking by my driveway, walking through my side yard to get around the large puddle by their house, and entering the open house. He was wearing work boots. 20 minutes later, he comes out and wipes the soles of his boots on the grass right on the street. I sent her a screenshot and asked her to edit the message in the chat and say sorry of accusing me of doing something that I didn't. She replied that I was overreacting and that the video wasn't a direct proof that the dirt was from him. So I had no other choice but to post a short clip in the group chat and wrote that my only contribution to the open house was not parking where I was asked not to. Now my neighbor is angry at me and says I humiliated her in front of our neighbors. She already made it public just without mentioning my name. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. She was the one who wanted to be petty and be like, oh, some people just can't respect things, when it was literally her own son. She's the one who jumped to conclusions and decided that her best way of handling this was to post about it in the neighborhood group.
Yeah, a vague posting too, on top of that, right? And why would OP have any horse in this race to, ruin the open house or something like that, right? So I don't know. I don't think that this neighbor is very reasonable. OP did everything they were asked to. And I think this neighbor just needs to kind of grow up. And if they have a problem, they can confront people directly.
Yeah.
But I mean, OP won't have to worry about them much longer. And the neighbor won't have to worry about being embarrassed in front of their neighbors much longer because they'll be out of there in no time, right? So it's a win-win-win situation. OP loses a bad neighbor and hopefully gains a good neighbor. And then they won't have to deal with this nonsense again. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I the jerk for being upset that my husband even considered letting his girl best friend sit between us? And Amber wants to read this one.
Am I the jerk for thinking it's weird that my husband's girl best friend wants to sit between us in the back seat? My husband has a female best friend that he talks to constantly online through gaming and Discord. They've been friends for years, and while I've tried to be understanding about it, she has never really made any effort to be friends with me. She talks to him all the time, but I mostly just exist in the background. We have a situation coming up where we'll all likely be riding together, and apparently she asked him if she could sit in the middle seat between me and my husband in the back seat during the drive. My husband did ask me how I felt about it beforehand, and said that regardless of my answer, he would be the one to say no, and I wouldn't be made the bad guy. But honestly, what upset me is that it even felt like an option he had to consider in the first place. To me, it should have immediately been obvious that sitting between a married couple is strange, especially given their dynamic and the fact that she's never tried to build any kind of relationship with me. On top of that, anytime we've all been together in social settings, I end up feeling completely cut out of conversations while she pulls the attention and focus toward herself and my husband. It's always felt like I'm the outsider tagging along instead of the wife being included. He thinks she probably doesn't mean anything by it and says she can be socially oblivious, but I genuinely cannot tell if I'm overreacting or if this is actually inappropriate. Am I the jerk? All right, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
You know, I think that OP is not the jerk for the most part. And I mean, while I think that she should talk to her husband about her expectations in the relationship and about what, is appropriate and what isn't appropriate. And they need to probably set some boundaries between, the husband and the friend. I don't think that, I think that it is one of these things where he probably should know better than to be like, hey, why don't we have my best friend sit between us when most of the time when couples are traveling together, they're probably going to be occupying seats that are near each other,
Well,
right?
that's the thing. She didn't ask to sit by him and have him sit in the middle. She's like, can I sit between you so I can monopolize the conversation with you and we'll just ignore your wife is essentially what's going on there. That's the
Yeah.
subtext.
I mean, the only time I would know not parents, but a couple not to sit next to each other is if they have a child between them. And I think that's a little bit of a different situation because, the child is kind of, one, being guarded or protected by the parents, and two, they are a part of this family unit.
That's what I was going to say. Is it's still it's the whole family unit. She is not part of this family unit.
And so I can understand why OP would feel put off by this. It's clear that the husband doesn't quite have the same view on those kinds of things as them.
I think the husband is giving her way too much leeway. Like, I don't understand why someone would volunteer to sit in the middle seat between a couple unless it was like, I am doing this with an intent. Like, I understand her wanting to sit by her friend instead of being set by OP, but being like, I want to sit between you, it's very intentional, very deliberate. And I think the husband is just excusing her behavior. Oh, she's just socially oblivious. She knows what she's doing. And maybe some couples counseling or something to like have someone outside the relationship point out how odd this dynamic is and help him set some boundaries with her.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Calling My Daughter's Assorted Boyfriends Baskin Robbins? Last time I posted here, it was concerning my son Kevin. And to be honest, a lot of you gave really good advice. I'm very, very glad to report that Kevin not only got out of that toxic relationship in the end, but he ended up joining the army. Did a lot of growing up, and honestly, so did I. And he and I have a really close relationship now, and calls me constantly for quote-unquote dad advice. I couldn't be more proud of him and the man that he's become. Now on to the current situation. My youngest daughter, a 17-year-old female, we'll call her Sarah, has a Disney princess-style romantic side to her. She wants her fairy tale relationship, and like J.G. Wentworth, she wants it now. Admittedly, she has the example that my wife and I set for her. We have an absolutely wonderful marriage. My wife is my best friend, and the house is always full of laughter. The problem is that she wants that at 17, which I have tried to tell her is not a realistic expectation. This desire has led to a veritable string of pseudo-boyfriends over the last 2 years. Don't ask me for a count because I honestly don't know. It was enough that I made a comment to my wife that until one of them actually has 2 brain cells to rub together and stick around, I'm not going to learn their names. And they're all going to be Baskin Robbins to me, since they're the flavor of the week. Now I love and adore my daughter. She's incredibly sweet, kind, and has an absolutely manic, goofy side to her. She often reminds me of Gilda Radner during her SNL stint. But in matters of the heart and actual love, she has no experience because of her age, and any conversation with her regarding it ends in some variation of, "You just don't understand, Dad," being thrown out to my mom and dad. If you ever read this, I'm genuinely sorry for everything that I put you through as a teenager. I told my Baskin Robbins joke to a friend of mine recently, and she got visibly heated, and said that I was a jerk for saying this, and that it made my daughter out to be some kind of promiscuous individual, which absolutely blindsided me. I've always viewed the joke as a reflection on the teenage male experience, not my daughter. So Reddit, I leave it to you. Am I the jerk? Edit. Thank you all to those who gave genuine advice and DMs. This helped me see in a different light that my brain honestly never considered. Yes, the joke will be stopping. And yes, a more concerted effort will be made to retain the names. And thank you for reminding me just how many weird people are in this site. To the one dude who is jumping into every comment pointing out that she's technically my stepdaughter, you're weird. Stop being weird and get some help. Edit 2, man, I forgot how many Redditors can just make up entire life stories and biographies from a post/comment history, from a Reddit account that I barely use. You all need some better hobbies. At least I can admit my failings and work on them. Way too many of you are on some bizarre crusade to demonize everyone. All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, I think OP is in the wrong here. And I'm glad that OP has seen this now because, it is very trivializing and demeaning. Like, yes, teenagers are like experiencing love for the first time, but first of all, that doesn't mean it can't end up being long term. I mean, I met Brian when I was 19, so just a couple of years older. But even though most teenage relationships don't ultimately work out, it's still very real in the moment. It's still like an important stepping stone on the way where you're learning how to have a relationship and what that even means. And so I think, you know, I understand that, you know, he gets tired of seeing a bunch of new guys, but, you know, the daughter is just trying to find someone who meets her standards. She's trying to find standards and find someone who meets her standards. And if she's getting rid of people who don't meet her standards, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that she's going to, go through individuals because that's really, these are short-lived relationships anyways, right? And I don't think that, I think that OP should do their best to, understand these individuals and understand what the daughter is looking for in relationships and, just let her kind of live her life, right?
And I mean, if she has completely unrealistic expectations, it is worth having conversations about it. But if she's just looking for someone who treats her well, who like respects her and all that kind of stuff, then like be glad that she's not sticking with the people, not lowering her standards just to have a boyfriend.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I the Jerk for Telling My Friend His New Girlfriend Reminds Me of His Mom and Genuinely Meaning It as a Compliment? Me and my friend Dario have been close for about 6 years. I know his family well. I've had dinner at his parents' place multiple times. His mom is one of those people who immediately makes you feel at home. Warm, funny, remembers everything that you've told her, always has food ready, one of my favorite people who I'm not actually friends with. Dario started dating someone new about 2 months ago. I'll call her Perda. I met her last weekend at a group thing. She was great, warm, funny, and remembered details from earlier in the conversation and brought them back up, made everyone feel included. I like her immediately. On the walk home, I told Dario that I really liked her and that she reminded me a lot of his mom. I said it smiling. I thought that I was being nice. That's it. That was the whole thought. He stopped walking. He looked at me like I had said something genuinely disturbing and then said, "What does that mean?" in a voice that made it very clear that he did not want it to mean what I meant. I tried to explain that his mom is amazing. Petra has the same energy. It was a compliment. He said, yeah, I'm going to need to not think about that, and changed the subject. He's been a little weird with me since, not cold exactly, just off. I don't really know what I did wrong here. His mom is a wonderful person. Petra reminded me of her. I said so. Apparently that was a mistake. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
I'm not going to go so far as to call OP the jerk, but I will say OP is a bit clueless. You basically are just like, hey, you know that person you're sleeping with? They are just like your mom.
Yeah. I mean, no one wants to really kind of view their mother in that kind of way unless they have Oedipus syndrome. I mean, I guess that would be the one exception to this whole thing. I think that this was a thought that OP should have kept to themselves. Now that they kind of understand the implications here, I mean, a lot of people kind of explained it to OP in great detail in the comments below. And I think that hopefully he kind of gets the hint from here on out, right? Yeah, I think like this is an innocent mistake, and it's probably going to take the friend some time to kind of get over that. And that's fine, right? He might need a little space and time. But I think that OP came from a good place, just a bit of a naive place. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she has a joke.
Why do tigers have stripes?
Well, because if they had spots, then they would be a leopard.
So they aren't spotted.
Oh. I mean, I kind of was on the right track there. A little bit. And I have licorice spice.
And today is a very special day. Today it is Witchy Notebook Day. So this says Little Book of Spells and Potions.
Yeah.
And I got it from Joanne back when Joanne was still a thing.
Yes, it's just a journal, right?
Yeah, it's just a little journal. So
it has no actual spells or potions in it.
No, it does not have spells or potions. It's just like where I track book stuff. So I have like my plans for like book launches and stuff.
Yeah. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Friday, Junior.
Happy Friday, Junior.
Thanks so much, Amber, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on ruining open houses.
You know what they say about assumptions.
I guess so. But thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.